Father Jonathan Meyer. Welcome to Alive. This is our Sunday Gospel Preparation Program, and we are in the 11th Sunday of Ordinary Time. Our Gospel passage today is the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 9, 36 through chapter 10, verses 8. And it says this: "The harvest is abundant, but laborers are few, so ask the master of the harvest to send out laborers for his harvest." Ask the master of the harvest, send out laborers for his harvest. 24 years ago, I had a shirt that had this biblical passage from the Gospel of Matthew on its back. 24 years ago, I biked on a bike across Minnesota, Wisconsin, took a ferry across Lake Michigan, down through Michigan into Indiana, with 12 of my college friends. We had just graduated from the University of St. Thomas, and we had a biking tour called Biking for Jesus. And we had this biblical passage from the Gospel of Matthew on the back of our shirts because the point of our biking trip all across those states is that we stopped in Catholic parishes every single night, and we would give talks on vocations, trying to encourage people to pray for vocations and to bring the awareness of inviting individuals into the reception of the sacrament of holy orders. I've been very blessed in the last few weeks, witnessed 3 very good friends of mine receive the sacrament of holy orders. Big shout out to Father Patrick Willie in the Diocese of Peoria, Father Jack Wright in the Archdiocese of Indianapolis, and Father Brian Florin of the Diocese of Fort Wayne, South Bend. All of us, my brothers and sisters, are called to realize that the harvest is abundant, but laborers are few, and we need to ask the master of the harvest to send out laborers for his harvest. This is a task and a responsibility for every single one of us. I want to just give some simple ways to do that. First of all, to be praying, and I always like to remind people not just to pray for priests, but to pray for holy priests. There is a big difference, and I think we know that in the church right now. So to be praying, fasting for vocations, for holy and righteous and zealous vocations to be brought forth to bring in the harvest. Second of all, we have to invite. And so I think a beautiful way to invite a young man is to walk up to a young man, to look him in the eye, that you believe that God might be calling, and to say to them, I see something in you that is beautiful. I see a virtue in you, a quality in you, and I believe that God might be calling you to be a priest. I think another great invite is to say, I have witnessed within you charity, or I've witnessed in you mercy, or I've witnessed your joy, and I think that would be a beautiful thing for you to share with the church as a priest. Studies say, in the interviews that are given to seminarians and to newly ordained priests, that it is the invitation of others that often confirms an inward call. So a young man often has an inward call, but then that inward call is confirmed by an exterior invitation from someone else. Pray, invite. 3 is I think we need to inspire. So we need to surround young men by priests that we believe have good, holy, zealous living out of the priestly vocation. And so whether that be taking young men to conferences or to retreats or events where they can encounter men, whether it be just saying, hey, I know of a priest who does a great job with X, whether it be prayer or adoration or preaching, and I'm going to take my godson, my grandson, to a mass or a talk or a retreat that is being led them. And just so that they see, not that all priests aren't trying their hardest, and not that all priests aren't great, but sometimes it takes a young man to see another priest outside of his normal context to be like, wow, I'm inspired. Because sometimes when everything that is around us just becomes normal, and so they might be inspired by their parish priest, but for them sometimes see another priest who is living it is just another confirmation. Like our Lord sent us out 2 by 2. And so I think sometimes young men need to see other priests, and sometimes right now priests live in isolation, and so they only see their parish priest. but I think that it's good for them to see a multiplicity of good, zealous vocations. And then lastly, I would just say they need to be engaged in the church. Like, how can you help a young man to get engaged into the parish life and ministry, whether it be not just things ministering to him like youth ministry, but also how do we help them to be giving back, to be serving, to be engaged, whether it be feeding the poor, whether it be catechesis, whether it be being involved in a Bible study. But those would be the ways that I think that we can help to bring in those to bring in the harvest. As Jesus says, the harvest is abundant, but laborers are few. So we are called to help bring in those laborers. There are discussion questions down below. You can also always find them at allsaintscatholic.net, allsaintscatholic.net, by clicking on the Alive button. God bless you, and may God truly help us to bring in the harvest.